Welcome back to the What's He On About Cricket podcast. It's episode 25 here, brought to you by Charlie Harden. And the question of the week we'll be eventually coming to is who is England's best test spinner? There's plenty of options. We're going to dive over the stats, really dive deep into what's going on, how they've been playing in the county champs. But first, we're going to start looking at round three of the county championship. Who are we looking out for? Who performed well? Who performed badly? And then we'll have a little section in the middle for a special controversial moment of the week. So that's all to come. So make yourself comfortable and ask yourself, what is he on about? We're going to start off at Old Trafford, where a lovely looking century was displayed by an opening batsman who was not thought to be opening the batting this year. Rian Ahmed for Leicestershire at Old Trafford got 100 of 149 balls with 14 fours. He's only bowled 3 overs in that game. So his bowling wasn't the centre point, but we can't get away from how good he looked for his 100. Rian Ahmed through the covers looked absolutely beautiful, holding his poses for some beautiful driving. And I've played with a few who's actually played with him. So that's a bit of a reach there as a claim to fame. But I have played with those who have played with him. And they all were surprised when he first got brought into the England team as a bowler. Because all they ever saw from him growing up was how good he was as a batsman. And we saw glimpses of it yesterday. It is the final day today of the county championship. A few results coming to an end. A lot of draws all over the place. But Rian Ahmed was the real highlight for me. Maybe he could have gone bigger. Maybe if England are looking at a batsman perspective point of view, maybe he could have gone that extra mile and won the game, really taken his innings by the scruff of the neck and said, I'm not going to get out until I'm past 150. But nonetheless, we can't take away from the fact he scored a brilliant 100, Rian Ahmed, and he'll be really proud of himself. But he definitely could have gone bigger. But it's a great sign if England were maybe to pick him to bat at 3, bat at 8 or something, bat at 7. It's a great sign. It shows we've got huge depth in our batting order. And if Rian Ahmed ever does come back to that England team, they'll be really pleased that he can maybe put in a good stint with the bat as well. Another great performance throughout the week from an Australian this time. It's Cameron Green on debut for Gloucestershire. His first innings, in fact. He knocked 112 of 188. Actually going for his 100th run, he pulled a hammy or did something to his leg, which meant that he had to go off for a bit, but he came back on in the end. But he looked absolutely world class, a class above the rest, an absolute professional, patient and punishing. And for me, it was how he used his height, getting on top of the bounce, just as Ben McKinney and Zach Crawley does. But Cam Green was in a league of his own, and beautiful straight drives, getting on top of the bounce, as I've said, absolutely elegant and dispatching anything that's just too far short. And Cam Green, again, looking different class. Beautiful, scrumptious 100. And he's going to be unbelievable in Division Two. And he's 100% going to get picked for Australia for the World Test Championship final, because who wouldn't pick him? The only question was on whether he would be fit enough. And he's shown that he's fit enough to hold an innings of 100 together. Maybe not do the bowling, as he's not allowed really to bowl for Gloucestershire at the minute. But that 100 will make the Australian selectors think, yep, okay, we'll pick him. Yeah, he's ready. He's ready to come back. But other success around the grounds, Tom Haines, an incredible opener at Sussex, got his 2 innings of the third match of the season underway by getting 174 in the first innings. And then before the draw halted play, he got 69 not out in the final innings of the game. So he is, just like Ben McKinney, just like other openers around the circuit, Dom Sibley, etc., putting a lot of pressure on Zach Crawley, who is currently about 40 not out, as I see the Kent scorecard, but it's coming to the end of that day. But definitely Tom Haines going to be a man to look out for. Maybe a man who's a bit further away from the fringes of the Test squad, Hasib Hamid. He put in a great performance for Notts in Division 1, 138 not out for him. Everyone loves it when Hasib Hamid gets runs. It's a fact. Everyone wants him to see him do well, but he is a lot further away from the England team than Tom Haines, 100%. But bowlers around the grounds as well. Keep your eyes out for Gus Atkinson. I've been displaying a little bit of questioning around maybe whether Gus Atkinson will play in the Test summer for England because he had a tricky winter. But his fourth for Surrey shows that he's coming back in fine form with the red ball and ready to take on some county championship batters. But the pick of the bowlers from around both divisions, Division Two in this respect. Nathan Gilchrist, the Zimbabwean-born South African raised and now in English territory, he took a seven for Kent, including wickets of Cameron Green and Cameron Bancroft, two Aussies. Love it when someone takes both those two wickets. Glorious stuff from Nathan Gilchrist. He's only 24 years old and could be claiming a bit of a spot at the top of the wicket takers table as we move forward through the season. But a great spell of bowling for Nathan Gilchrist as we move away from the county setup. But then briefly back, we're going to dip our toe back in because there was a controversial moment, everyone. Controversy was everywhere between Essex and Worcestershire. Essex set Worcestershire in the final innings, 295 to win. And they got to 266 for nine with a not out batsman, Ethan Brooks, at 88 not out of 105. But Jamie Porter came into bowl. Worcestershire need 29 to win. They need every point they can get. Even if they were to get a draw, it would be absolutely brilliant for their point standings. They're not in a great position. They're, if anything, tipped to go down. But they needed 29 to win. Jamie Porter comes into Ethan Brooks, who's pumping it around the ground. He bowls a leading edge. This was very close, but Jamie Porter dives in front of him, finishes his follow through, dives forward onto the wicket. And there was a very, very questionable call about the catch taken. Did it hit the ground or was it well caught? One thing is to say is that Jamie Porter was 100% convinced that he took that catch. Arguably, as you would be if you're only defending a 28 run lead. But Jamie Porter claimed it with huge limbs and shouting and screaming. Keeper maybe looked a little bit uncertain, but Ethan Brooks, for absolute certain, hated the decision. The umpire fired up his finger straight away, and it's one of those decisions as an umpire. If you've seen the players claim it, it's very, very rare that there's going to be anything untoward going on there. But Worcestershire, it's fair to say, have not taken it too well, which is a bit ironic, as Jamie Porter took one of the catches of his career. But no, Worcestershire, sorry, posted a video on social media showing an angle that potentially made it look like that Jamie Porter's catch was in fact grounded. But that's all we're going to say on that respect. I personally think it probably didn't carry. But that's only from seeing Worcestershire's point of view on their social media. So maybe some propaganda got in the way there. However, Essex did win the game by 28 runs. A good wicket in the final innings there by Jamie Porter. Huge wicket of Ethan Brooks. But I do feel really sorry for Worcestershire. They're tipped to go down. Of all the squads, there's probably looks the weakest. And they need those results to go forward for them 100%. And the fact that they're getting those 50-50 calls, it's going to be a tough season for the pairs. But as we move on now to our main question of the week, we're going to come on to later, maybe in a few weeks' time, whether England need a spinner or not. However, we are going to spend today looking at who is England's best spinner. If you think there's someone I miss off, make sure to maybe leave a review and say, hey, Charlie, I think this guy's our best spinner. Make that happen. If you're listening to it on YouTube, leave a comment down below. But we're going to start with the current spinner, Shawad Bashir. Now, this is so tricky. All right. It's fair to say he's done okay for England. You know, he played through the whole of 2024, playing countless matches, bowling over 500 overs in a year. And he took 49 wickets at an average of 40. Debut season for a young spinner, not too bad. However, his county form has always been very different. He was, first of all, not picked by Somerset, well, picked as their third choice spinner, and he's since gone out on loan to Glamorgan, where he has bowled in 2025 72 overs and he's taken 2 wickets. Before that, when he's played for Surrey, he's had very or pretty poor first class stats. Absolutely nothing to say that he's been pretty class for England so far, but his first class stats is not where he'd want them. And this raises the question, doesn't it? Would any spinner bowl well under Stokes? Obviously, there is a limit here. Let's change that question. Would any first class spinner bowl well under Stokes? Let's have a look at the stats of Bashir under both Stokes and under Pope. So this for me is the most important stat when answering this question. Under Stokes, where Stokes puts a lot of faith in Bashir, sets the fields that Bashir wants, and really backs him to the end. Under Stokes, Bashir's bowled 400 overs, 42 wickets, but at an average, here's the most important one, of 36. So he's bowled 400 overs under Stokes, going at 36 runs per wicket. However, under Pope, he's bowled 125 overs, so he's bowled in 6 games, plenty of a sample size here, but he's got 7 wickets at an average of 65. Just to let you know, that was always also against opposition, such as Sri Lanka at home and Pakistan away. So you can't say that maybe it was good opposition or tough bowling conditions. So that there shows that although Bashir's had a great start to his England career, his county championship work has not gone how he wanted it to. And especially looking at the captaincy he is under. When he's placed under great captaincy, he performs well. However, when he's put under less experienced captaincy, he averages 65 with the ball. So that's just a stat to think about as we move on to our next spinner, Rian Ahmed. Now, we've heard of him earlier in the show, how he got the 100 opening up the batting. Now, I'm now talking about him as a spinner. Can he perform as a spinner? Now, he hasn't been fully backed by England. It's been such a strange last few months for Rian Ahmed. He's been backed, he's been picked in the squad. Rian Ahmed, you're going to play. Every single game, he's been carrying the drinks. We've been calling in the white ball stuff, in the Champions Trophy, in the England series against India. We were calling, bring on Rian Ahmed. We need another spinner. He never got a go. So he's not getting fully backed by England. But in the test he's played, he's got 22 wickets in 5 games at an average of 31. That compares to Bashir's average of 40 in his test that he's played. But you might say, well, no, Rian Ahmed's only bowled in the subcontinent. Therefore, he's going to average better. He's going to have bowled in better conditions. But that is the case. Rian Ahmed has bowled only in subcontinent conditions at an average of 31. However, if you were to take Bashir's subcontinent stats, where he's played 6 games, just one more than Rian Ahmed. Bashir in the subcontinent, he's taken 26 wickets at just under an average of 40. He's averaging 39 in the subcontinent. So you could argue Rian Ahmed averages better than Shah Bashir, and you'd be absolutely right to say so. And on top of this, Rian Ahmed is electric with the bat, as we've seen for Leicestershire against Lancashire. He not only can bowl really, really good threatening leg spin, but he's a gun with the bat. Absolutely, for sure. So I think personally, he needs the backing Bashir got. He needs to be backed by Stokes, by the selectors. And I think Rian Ahmed's arguably got more potential. However, here's something that might shock you. Although we're talking about these two as two of England's top picks for their spinning option, both Bashir and Ahmed are in the bottom 6 of all bowling figures in Division 2 so far, of all the bowlers to have taken at least 1 wicket. Now you can argue it's April. It is conditions for fast bowling. Yes. However, I'm going to take you on to our next man who showed that is not something that can stop you. Jack Leach is our third and final spinner we're going to look into. He's got the most wickets by a spinner in Div 1, but he has bowled plenty. He's bowled less than Simon Harmer at Essex, but he has bowled a lot of overs. He's bowled 125 overs in the county championship so far. And also another thing, just to question our points we're making here, is that Jack Leach bowls at Taunton. Taunton is well regarded as a pitch that's good for spinners. But Jack Leach, he's got a brilliant economy. If we compare the economies of all three bowlers so far in the county championship, Bashir, he's got an economy of 4.2. Rian Ahmed, an economy of 3.1. And Jack Leach, an economy of 2.6. He, for me, is the best spinner in England. Absolute fact. And therefore, he has to play for England. In my eyes, Stokes got to back him. And I think of all the spinners, as we look forward to the Ashes in Australia, of all the spinners, he has the best opportunity or the best possibility or potential to do well out in Australia. Experience, he knows how to control and hold up an end, and he's also so threatening in that final innings, which neither of the other two have shown in their bowling so far, in both international and county cricket. So as we have a look at the stats, just from 2025 county championship so far, Bashir, he's bowled 72 overs for Glamorgan, and he's taken 2 wickets in those 72 overs, which therefore makes his average 152. So we're going to glaze over that because he's only got 2 wickets in his 72 overs. But I think, as we've just mentioned there prior, his strike rate is 4.2. His economy is 4.2. That is a big margin. Rian Ahmed, he's bowled 36 overs, not really backed by Leicestershire as a spinner, highly likely due to the bowling conditions, but Leach is obviously against that. He's played his 3 matches, he's bowled 36 overs, and he's taken 1 wicket for 111 runs, which makes his average 111. So we are going to have to come back to these stats in future when there's a larger pool of wickets that they've got. However, nonetheless, these two are not taking wickets, and they're not being backed by the captains to hold up ends and to put pressure on the batsman. That's the truth. Whether it's fast bowling conditions, spin bowling conditions, whatever, the captains aren't backing them. And then finally, we'll come on to Jack Leach. He's bowled 125 overs and he's taken 10 wickets, the most by a spinner in Division 1. And he's going at an average of 32.5 with an economy of 2.6. So it's showing, despite the lack of spin bowling conditions, Jack Leach is holding up his end. He's bowling with a great economy and he's taken wickets at not many runs apiece. So that's really important. And we're just going to take a quick side point. Look at the young Farhan Ahmed, the 17-year-old, who's bowled 74 overs in Division 1, the league above his older brother, Rian Ahmed. And he's taking 4 wickets at an average of 53, but most importantly, at an economy of 2.9. This young leggy from Nottinghamshire, Farhan Ahmed, will be a real force to be reckoned with in the future, and we're going to come back onto him in a second as we conclude this answer to our question. But we have said right at the start of the show, there will be a future episode on, do England actually, in fact, need a spinner? So there is that argument, isn't there, that I think Root and Bethel would be fine together if they were to play against maybe the likes of Zimbabwe in May. They'd be fine. No disrespect to Zimbabwe. They're a great outfit. However, I do think Root and Bethel will be able to hold up ends, create pressure, take wickets against Zimbabwe. However, we've then got India at home and then we've got Australia away. For me, Jack Leach has to play. Bashir's done it for a bit. However, England need to pick someone to back, and they need to pick Leach for at least the next couple of years. Stokes has got to back him. He's our best spinner by far. We've looked at the stats. Leach has to play. End of. Fact. All right. If there is anyone else who you deem is worthy, whether it's Tom Hartley, Farhan Ahmed, whoever is bowling great spin in the county championship, please do let me know. Write a review. Leave 5 stars, please. And a comment for the YouTube as well. Wherever you're listening to, give it a like. Whatever you can possibly do on that platform, it's a huge help. Follow on all the social medias, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. And most importantly, I hope it got answered. The question of, what is he on about? Cheers.